The world rewards many things: money, skill, intelligence, talent, but above all, it rewards one trait that most people never master: the strategic command of risk. You already know this on some level. You've watched people with half your discipline, half your knowledge, half your preparation move ahead of you, not because they were better, but because they dared to execute while you were still evaluating. You've seen opportunities slip away, not because you lacked the ability, but because you lacked the timing. You've watched bolder, louder, more reckless people take positions you quietly deserved. And deep down, you asked yourself, how? How do they get ahead when I'm smarter, more thoughtful, more capable, more prepared? The answer isn't luck. It isn't privilege. It isn't destiny. It is this: they take risks you hesitate to take, but they take them without strategy. You take them without confidence. Both are incomplete. Both are weak. What you are about to learn is the third path, the path of the prince, the only path Machiavelli respected. Cold, calculated, deliberate risk. Not emotional, not impulsive, not foolish, not timid, not naive, not reckless. Risk as a weapon. Risk as a psychological tool. Risk as a ladder to power. Risk as the engine of reinvention. Most people misunderstand risk entirely. They think it means gambling, but gambling is what the unprepared do when they get desperate. They think risk means fearlessness, but fearlessness is often insanity dressed as courage. They think risk means chaos, but chaos only destroys men who never learned control. You're not here to be fearless. You're here to be unshakable. You're here to learn risk the way rulers learn it, as a science. Before we go deeper, I need to make something absolutely clear. This knowledge is not for exploiting people. This knowledge is not for manipulation. This knowledge is not for destruction. It is for protection, for self-respect, for decision-making, for financial growth, for strategic movement, and above all, for freedom. Because the man who cannot take risk will always need permission, and the man who needs permission will never rule his own life. So before we begin, type this in the comments and lock it into your identity. I choose to take risks strategically, not emotionally. Now, these are the 8 ruthless lessons that separate those who play life like a game of dice from those who play like princes, kings, and power brokers. Let's begin. The first lesson: you are already taking risks. You're just not getting paid for them. People think avoiding risk keeps them safe. It doesn't. It just blinds them to the risks they're already taking. You risk your future every time you settle. You risk your time every day you waste. You risk your growth every time you choose comfort. You risk opportunity whenever you wait for certainty. You risk your worth every time you silence yourself. This is the ironic tragedy. The man who avoids visible risk takes the invisible ones that cost him everything. Machiavelli understood this in politics. The princes who tried to stay neutral, who tried to keep everyone happy, who tried to avoid conflict, were always the first to fall, because neutrality is also a decision, and it is often the weakest one. Every day you avoid action, someone else moves. Every day you hesitate, someone else seizes advantage. Every day you choose safety, someone else earns the experience that will later outmatch you. Most men aren't risk-averse, they're reward-averse. They avoid the risks that grant rewards and embrace the ones that slowly destroy their prime years. They take the risk of complacency, the risk of irrelevance, the risk of mistiming, the risk of wasted potential. These are the risks with the worst ROI imaginable. Strategic men flip the paradigm. They stop asking, what if it goes wrong? They start asking, what am I sacrificing if I don't move? You must understand this. Risk is not optional. Risk is currency. Your life is shaped by what you risk and what you refuse to risk. You can stay safe, but safety has a price, and that price is your future. Once you digest this truth, risk stops being a monster and becomes a map. You stop seeing risk as danger and start seeing which risks actually move your life forward and which ones are slowly killing your ambition. Most men live in a cage made of invisible risks. Princes break the cage by recognizing it. The second lesson: risk begins in the nervous system, not in the outside world. Most people think they fear risk because they fear losing money, losing time, or making mistakes. But that's not the truth. People don't fear risk. People fear feelings, the embarrassment of being wrong, the awkwardness of trying something new, the anxiety of not being perfect, the discomfort of uncertainty, the shame of being judged, the sting of temporary failure. This is why most people never take meaningful risks. They don't fear outcomes, they fear emotions. Their nervous system collapses under pressure, tension, unpredictability. And instead of strengthening their inner capacity, they hide from anything that challenges it. This is why emotional people lose in strategic environments. A man who cannot stay calm under threat cannot command risk. Machiavelli understood that a prince must be calm during storms, conspiracies, and chaos, not because he feels safe, but because he has trained himself to act despite fear, not without fear. Your problem isn't fear. Your problem is that you treat fear like a command instead of a signal. Risk mastery doesn't start with the ability to take big actions. It starts with the ability to remain grounded when your instincts scream at you to run. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. If a single setback breaks your routine, you cannot handle risk. If a disagreement ruins your focus, you cannot handle risk. If a stranger's opinion shakes your confidence, you cannot handle risk. If your emotions rise faster than your clarity, you cannot handle risk. You don't need more confidence. You need more capacity. Capacity is the real foundation of strategic risk. It is built the same way warriors build stamina, by pushing against resistance until your system adapts. You train your nervous system through controlled discomfort, having uncomfortable conversations, showing up where you feel underqualified, saying no without apology, tolerating people's judgment, trying skills you're not yet good at, acting before you feel ready. These experiences wire your brain to understand discomfort is not danger, pressure is not death, fear is not final. And once your body stops overreacting to emotional tension, risk becomes logical instead of terrifying. You stop panicking, you start thinking, you stop retreating, you start evaluating, you stop freezing, you start calculating. This is the real reason powerful people move differently. They've built the internal capacity to handle chaos that crushes ordinary minds. Before you master risk outside, you must master the storms inside. The third lesson: a prince never bets the throne. The biggest difference between a gambler and a strategist is not boldness, it is boundary. A gambler will risk everything. A prince risks almost nothing unless the potential reward changes his entire position in life. Machiavelli warned rulers again and again. A prince must never risk his entire state on a single decision. Modern translation: don't bet your future on a single move, no matter how good it looks. There are two types of risk. First is reversible risk. These risks help you grow. They stretch your capacity. They compound over time. Examples: trying new ideas, taking calculated financial moves, starting a project, building a skill, reaching out to valuable people, launching something imperfect, asking for opportunities, showing your work publicly. If you fail, you learn, you adapt, you try again. Your position remains, but your experience increases. Second is irreversible risk. These risks destroy men. They collapse futures. They trap you permanently. Examples: breaking the law, burning bridges recklessly, gambling all your savings, destroying your health, trusting unverified people, putting everything into one idea, moving emotionally instead of logically, letting ego decide strategy. If you fail, you lose more than you can recover. These are the risks that make men forgettable. You should avoid them ruthlessly. Here is the part most people never understand. A prince looks bold on the surface, but he is actually extremely cautious behind the scenes. He prepares backup plans. He builds alliances. He gathers information. He learns timing. He reduces threats. He strengthens position. He calculates consequences. He decides only after knowing how he will survive worst-case scenarios. So when he finally moves, he looks fearless. But his fearlessness is an illusion created by preparation. This is the Machiavellian truth. The man who seems reckless is often the most calculated, and the man who seems careful is often the least prepared. Here's how you begin mastering this principle. A prince takes many small risks, but almost no catastrophic ones. He leverages reversible risk to build confidence, capital, network, skill, and reputation. Then and only then does he consider a large risk. And when he does, he creates an escape route first. You never bet the throne. You never risk the part of your life that your entire strategy is built on. You never gamble irreplaceable assets for replaceable desires. You take risk the way kings move armies, slowly, quietly, prepared, with multiple outcomes mapped and a plan to recover even if things go wrong. This is why princes rise where others fall. It's not luck. It's not bravery. It's not magic. It is discipline. You must learn it if you want risk to serve you instead of destroy you. The fourth lesson: obscure your moves, clarify your vision. A prince never shows his entire playbook, not to friends, not to rivals, not even to the people closest to him. This isn't secrecy from fear. It's secrecy from intelligence. Machiavelli said, "Men judge by what they see. Few understand what you intend." People can only attack what they can predict. People can only sabotage what they can see. People can only doubt what they fully understand. So the prince does something ordinary men never do. He reveals his direction, but not his steps. Ordinary people share everything: their plans, their insecurities, their doubts, their goals, their timelines, their failures, their entire blueprint. They think transparency builds trust, but transparency uncontrolled builds vulnerability. Because the moment you reveal your route, you give people the chance to judge you, discourage you, copy you, or quietly sabotage you. You think they're listening with love. Most are listening with fear. And fearful people poison ambition better than any enemy could. So here's the Machiavellian rule: speak less about process, speak more through outcomes. Don't say, "I'm trying to start a business." Let them see the business when it's already moving. Don't say, "I'm thinking of changing careers." Let the new identity show when your competence is visible. Don't say, "I'm planning a major improvement." Let the results be undeniable before the plan becomes public. Your moves should remain invisible. Your growth should remain obvious. This isn't manipulation. This is protection. The world is full of unconscious enemies, people who damage your future without ever realizing they did. A prince never gives them the chance. He makes his vision clear. I'm building something greater, but he keeps his strategy foggy. You'll understand it when it's done. This creates a powerful psychological effect. People respect what they cannot decode. People fear what they cannot predict. People admire what they cannot imitate. People stay curious when you don't over-explain. Mystery is leverage. Silence is strategy. Opacity is power. A prince doesn't hide because he's weak. He hides because he knows. Exposure kills momentum when it comes too early. The fifth lesson: position before you play. Most people take risks from a place of weakness. No skills, no leverage, no network, no preparation. Then they wonder why risk hurts them. Risk is not the problem. Your position is. Machiavelli repeatedly wrote that princes win wars not by fighting harder, but by choosing the terrain before the enemy does. Modern life is no different. A risk taken from weakness is a gamble. A risk taken from strength is strategy. The same decision becomes completely different depending on where you're standing. Look at these two men. Man A quits his job with no savings, no competence, and no plan. Man B quits after building a profitable skill, a financial cushion, and a small client base. Same action, opposite outcomes. Why? Because one jumped from the ground and the other jumped from a platform. Skill is a platform. Network is a platform. Savings is a platform. Reputation is a platform. Emotional control is a platform. Discipline is a platform. Princes don't take risk first and grow later. Princes grow first, so risk becomes easier. Here's the sequence. Strength first. You develop the competence that gives you leverage. Stability second. You build systems that protect your downside. Risk third. You take calculated actions when your position absorbs the blow instead of your identity. Weak men rush the order, and the world punishes them for it. Think of this. Is it risky to start a business when you have no valuable skill? Yes. Is it risky to start a business when your skills create income on demand? No. It's logic. Is it risky to negotiate a raise when you're disposable? Yes. Is it risky to negotiate a raise when the company cannot function without you? No. It's leverage. Is it risky to walk away from a toxic relationship when you have no self-respect built? Yes. Is it risky to walk away when you are emotionally independent and no longer afraid to be alone? No. It's sovereignty. This is why risk feels terrifying to most people. They're not scared of risk. They're scared because they never built the position that makes risk survivable. Princes don't take blind leaps. Princes climb to higher ground first, so even when they leap, they land on their feet. The sixth lesson: turn every loss into ammunition. Most men treat failure like a verdict. Strategic men treat failure like data. You don't lose because you failed. You lose because you failed and refused to study the failure. Machiavelli wrote extensively that commanders who survived defeat became twice as dangerous, not because they became stronger physically, but because defeat sharpened their awareness of reality. Pain is information when you stop taking it personally. Loss is a map when you stop viewing it as identity. A prince is not the man who never loses. A prince is the man who never wastes a loss. Every miscalculation, every false judgment, every naive trust, every wrong move becomes part of his strategic intelligence. Ordinary men feel embarrassed when they lose. A prince feels educated. Ordinary men lose confidence when they fail. A prince gains clarity. Ordinary men retreat after one setback. A prince rewrites the blueprint and returns with sharper judgment. This is why people envy strategic individuals. They rise faster, not because they're lucky, but because losses don't drain them. Losses refine them. Ask yourself, what did this mistake reveal about my assumptions? What information did I ignore because I was emotional? Which pattern did I repeat because I didn't learn it last time? Where exactly did my execution betray my understanding? What part of me allowed this outcome? Every loss answers these questions. Every loss removes an illusion. Every loss eliminates a weakness. Every loss sharpens a blind spot. And once you adopt this identity, you become terrifying to your environment. Not because you win, but because no one can stop your growth. Enemies can slow you. People can doubt you. Life can hit you. But nothing can break a man who constantly converts damage into intelligence. This is the man who eventually becomes untouchable because he isn't shaped by success. He's sculpted by adversity. The seventh lesson: make uncertainty your territory. Most people freeze the moment things stop making sense. They want clarity before movement. They want certainty before action. They want guarantees before commitment. That's why they stay ordinary. A prince understands something the crowd never will. Uncertainty is not a threat. Uncertainty is territory. It is land that belongs to the ones who dare to walk into it, while everyone else waits for perfect conditions. But perfect conditions never come. Ask yourself, when has life ever given you full clarity up front? Never. Clarity comes after the move. Confidence comes after repetition. Success comes after exposure. Certainty comes after evidence. This is the paradox of power. You earn certainty by acting without it. Machiavelli wrote that princes who waited for perfect information lost their position to men who acted with imperfect information but perfect resolve. Your problem is not uncertainty. Your problem is your relationship with uncertainty. Most men treat uncertainty like fire. They avoid it, fear it, protect themselves from it. Princes treat uncertainty like metal. They shape it, smelt it, turn it into something useful. Here's the truth. If you need guarantees, you will be outrun. If you need validation, you will be manipulated. If you need certainty, you will be controlled. The man who waits is always ruled by the man who moves. So how do you master uncertainty? First is shorten your decision cycle. The longer you think, the louder your fear becomes. Think clearer, not longer. Second is test instead of theorize. Run experiments. Get data. Adjust fast. Stop debating. Start discovering. Third is expand your capacity. Practice uncomfortable action. Speaking up, trying new skills, taking small risks daily. You grow when you stretch. Fourth is accept chaos as normal. Life won't stabilize. Markets won't stabilize. People won't stabilize. Stop wishing for a world that doesn't exist. The man who functions inside chaos becomes the man people follow when the world inevitably destabilizes. This is the hidden benefit. Once uncertainty becomes your home, you become unstoppable. Others panic, you plan. Others freeze, you move. Others pray for safety, you hunt for advantage. Uncertainty doesn't crush a prince, it crowns him. The eighth lesson: serve the outcome, not your ego. This is the final, most ruthless principle, the one that separates strategists from emotional amateurs. Most people don't chase outcomes, they chase feelings. They want to be right, they want to be respected, they want to be admired, they want to look brave, they want to win arguments, they want validation. Their ego sits at the steering wheel, and their strategy sits in the trunk. A prince reverses this. He asks one question before every action. What result am I trying to create? Not what will people think? What will make me look powerful? What makes me feel good right now? What boosts my pride? He ignores all that. He chooses the move that serves the outcome, even if his ego hates it. Let me show you how differently a prince moves. Ego wants to argue. Outcome wants information, so the prince listens instead of fighting. Ego wants to react. Outcome wants advantage, so the prince waits instead of exploding. Ego wants to prove. Outcome wants results, so the prince stays silent until the right moment. Ego wants instant glory. Outcome wants long-term power, so the prince sacrifices credit to gain leverage. This is why outcome-obsessed men become kings. They don't waste time on emotional battles with no strategic return. And here's the Machiavellian truth. If controlling your ego embarrasses you, you are not ready for power. Your ego will try to hijack your decisions every single day. It will tell you, defend yourself, speak up, don't look weak, prove them wrong, show them you're better. But a prince does not move to impress. He moves to influence. He does not chase pride. He chases positioning. He does not fight small wars. He wins large ones. And if the ego must take a hit for the empire to grow, he accepts the hit, because the prince knows you don't win by feeling powerful. You win by becoming powerful. The final Machiavellian conclusion. You've just learned 8 ruthless lessons for mastering risk like a prince. You are already taking risks. Stop taking the ones that damage you and start taking the ones that reward you. Your nervous system is the battlefield. Expand it. Strengthen it. Never bet the throne. Avoid irreversible stupidity. Obscure your moves. Reveal results. Never routes. Position before you play. Build leverage before leaps. Use losses as intelligence. Turn pain into tactical knowledge. Make uncertainty your territory. Others run from fog. You walk into it. Serve the outcome, not your ego. Strategy over pride. Results over reactions. But now, you must understand something deeper. Knowledge does not change your life. Execution does. Every man wants to be powerful, but very few are willing to act with strategic discipline in a world addicted to emotional chaos. You are different, or at least you want to be. So here is your challenge. The same type of challenge your original script gave. For the next 7 days, pick one of these 8 lessons and practice it ruthlessly. Not all 8, just one. If you're impulsive, practice controlled silence. If you're scared of uncertainty, make decisions faster. If you overshare your plans, practice strategic opacity. If you fear judgment, expose yourself to controlled discomfort. If you avoid small risks, take one every day. Every time you practice, you create a new identity. Not fearful, not reckless, but Machiavellian strategic. And as you change internally, your environment will shift around you. People will speak differently to you. Opportunities will approach you. Weakness will fall off you. Confidence will grow in you. Power will radiate from you. Because men who master risk become men who command outcomes. And the world always bends to the man who commands outcomes. Now, before this ends, type this in the comments to anchor it into your identity. I take risks with strategy, clarity, and power. If this taught you something your school, your society, and your mentors never did, give this video a like. If you want more deep psychology, more power strategy, more Machiavellian insight, subscribe and turn on notifications. And tell me in the comments, which of these 8 lessons will you start practicing first? Because remember, power isn't loud. Power isn't reckless. Power isn't dramatic. Power is quiet, precise, calculated, and unshakable. Master risk like a prince before life treats you like a pawn.